Hello traders, this is Brian from FinancialTradingJournal.com and welcome back to this week's FX Weekly Analysis. Today is October 19th, 2013. The only thing I want to say before starting the analysis is I'm surprised at the market reaction to the solution to the U.S. debt ceiling and government budget. They didn't really solve the problem. They usually don't. They usually just find a short-term solution, kick the can down the road, and then once the problem comes up again, then they'll solve it again, and then they just keep kicking the can down the road. Usually that's how it is. So it wasn't expected for them to find a solution to the problem. It's just a temporary solution. So that should have been expected going into it, but I was surprised that the US dollar weakened after the solution was found. So I lost money trading that. I was expecting the US dollar to strengthen, but it weakened instead, and it was a fairly big move. So hopefully you guys fared better than me. Hopefully some of you made profit, or hopefully some of you guys didn't lose too much this week. Because I know a lot of people who wiped their accounts this week because the moves were pretty drastic, especially on pound dollar and the euro. Aussie dollar was kind of confusing and surprising because it just kept going up slowly. During the solution and the talks with the Senate and all the voting, nothing happened on the Aussie. It just stayed the same and just went up slowly. So that was kind of weird. So that's why I just stayed away from that pair. Dollar CAD, similar situation, except it went down slightly. The two shockers were pound dollar and euro dollar. So if you were trading those two this week, hopefully you were on the right side and you made money. And if you were on the wrong side, hopefully you minimize your losses. So anyways, let's get started. So just like last week, I'm just going to focus on a few time frames. Depending on the pair. Dollar CAD going to be focusing on the daily chart. So on the daily chart, I have drawn 3 trend lines. The magenta trend line is a weekly trend line, which was here from way back when. We're currently hovering right above that one right now. Below that, you'll see these 2 aqua trend lines. The 2 aqua trend lines were just drawn from the lows previously. This one to this one gives you that trend line. This low to that low gives you that trend line. Also, I have this blue moving average. This is the 200 moving average, simple moving average. Just 200 day. That's just a standard moving average that most institutional traders use. So just put it on there. That one is sitting right below the magenta trend line. That one, I mean, over here it did puncture as well. So, but I just put it there for fun this week, just to see what happens next week. So right now we have 3 potential bounce points, basically between this magenta line down to this aqua blue line. You shouldn't be surprised if price moves somewhere inside here before bouncing upwards. If it breaks all 4 of these, then we're going to go down for quite a while because there's nothing really below. You could start drawing supports here at 1.01 and then maybe at parity, but other than that, it looks pretty good for a bounce. But don't be surprised if we do go down first before going back up. So the forecast for this week for dollar CAD will be down first, possibly, before bouncing up. So that's it for this pair. On to the Aussie dollar. Aussie dollar going to be focusing on the daily chart as well. On this pair we have the trend line. I just drew this one connecting these highs to here, but we broke that trend line. I'm just leaving it on for references. I thought it would have bounced on Thursday, but that didn't happen. It just kept going up, like I mentioned earlier. Aussie dollar, apart from all the other pairs, this one just kept going up slowly. But we are approaching the 97 level, which was the highest target from the previous FX Weekly analysis. We broke the 96, broke the 96.5. Now we're approaching the 97. Above the 97, which is the 50% fib level, we also have this blue moving average, the 200-day moving average as well. That one's around 975. So that's the new extended target. As price moves to the right, this moving average will move down slowly, and as price moves up closely to this level, they will start converging, and then this will be the deciding factor on whether or not price will move down or continue the retrace, because this is effectively the retrace from this big drop down. So either this will be a pullback, so this is the 50% pullback, and then it continues down, or it will continue retracing and then target the 61.8 fib level, which is at the 99-cent mark, which is just below parity, which is up here. So those are the levels of interest moving forwards. This one, the forecast for this would be unsure because it has to wait to see what happens here. This is effectively the pivot point. It will either go up or down. Whereas with dollar CAD, there's a lot of supports on the way down, which supports a possible bounce rather than continue moving down. This one is an iffy play. So that's all for this pair. Euro dollar focuses on the weekly chart. First up, we hit the 3.7 level this week, which was the first or second initial target. I think I was targeting 3.65 and 3.7. 3.7 is basically the high of this one. 3.75 is an extension if it goes up slightly more. Previously, I had drawn another trend line, which was going from here to here like this, something like that. And then the converging point was at 3.75. That one may or may not still be in play, but we're waiting to see what happens at 3.7. I don't think it's going to be an easy bounce based on how markets have been moving so far. Market makers probably know a lot of people are shorting at the 3.7 region, and they know their stops are right above it. So they're probably going to go stop hunting above before going back down. So I'd be looking to load above 3.7. That's what I'm looking to see this week. Whether or not that happens is based on the markets. So don't be surprised if we go up a little bit before dropping. So that's the forecast for this pair. Lastly, we have the pound dollar. So pound dollar, I will be focusing on 2 time frames again, just like last week. First thing I want to bring your attention to is the weekly chart. Weekly chart, we broke the magenta trend line, and unlike this red candle over here, the current green candle closed above the magenta trend line, which shows that short term we have broken outside of the magenta channel. Since we have done that, it looks like price is targeting this converging point right here, which is the monthly trend line and the monthly resistance, which is up in the 6.3 region, which is about 135 pips from here. So on a long-term basis, on a weekly chart, do not be surprised if we continue moving up. However, on a short-term time frame, on a daily chart, what we have is this huge pin bar slash doji, depending on what you want to call it. Some people might argue this is, I believe the term for this is a gravestone doji, but I'm not entirely sure of that. I didn't look it up beforehand. I think it's called a gravestone doji. That's what these things are called, where you have a long upper wick or a long bottom wick, and then basically closing right at the open price. It's not exactly a pin bar. Pin bar needs a body. This is more of a doji, which might be a gravestone doji, but you might have to look up the terminology to see exactly what it's called. But we have that on the daily chart, so that might signal a possible downtrend starting now. For bear traders, short term, what people are talking about on the web right now is possible head and shoulder. The only thing I don't like about the head and shoulder is the right shoulder is too far apart. You'll notice this is the left shoulder, this is the head, and then there's this big gap here. Notice how this gap between the left shoulder and the head is small, but this gap between the head and the right shoulder is bigger. I don't like that. Ideally, I like it to be symmetrical, and that'd be a textbook example of head and shoulder. But obviously, textbook doesn't work in the real world. So that's why some people are calling this a head and shoulder. But ideally, with the head and shoulder, I wouldn't have liked price to break above it, but we did close below it now. So possibly it could be a head and shoulder to go down short term. But like I said on the weekly chart, don't be surprised if we shoot up, because like I said, market makers, probably they know people are going to do this and play this. They might just go stop hunting, go up to 6.3 and then go back down. So across the pairs, be cautious this week, because markets may move against the favorable play before moving in the appropriate direction. Dollar CAD might move down before moving up. Aussie dollar might move up before moving down. Euro dollar might move up before moving down. Same with pound dollar, might move up before moving down. So be careful this week trading. So that's it for this week's FX Weekly Analysis. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next Saturday for next week's FX Weekly Analysis.